Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Mason Maggio. Of course, if you haven't heard, he'll make his Xfinity Series debut at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for MBM Motorsports. How's it going, bud?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to talk with you and happy to be back on the show.
Yeah. So how did this opportunity come about?
I did the Xfinity Series test at Charlotte Motor Speedway with MBM. Jason Hotel, who's the main crew chief over there, and kind of Carl Long's right-hand man, per se, with this whole ordeal. Um, so he invited me to go out to the test. Realistically, it wasn't to lead to anything. It was more of, my expectation going into it was, okay, it's another mile and a half. It's another NASCAR series car that I could use to go get more mile and a half experience, just because obviously practice is very much limited nowadays, and seat time at these racetracks and in these cars is key nowadays for guys like myself who are just entering the sport. Um, so the test actually went really well. We were pretty quick for the car that we brought there, and got better and better throughout the day. And we were faster than a lot of other guys in the garage area. So and then that kind of led to more conversations of, hey, what can we put together, and what makes sense to go and try and do. And then after a couple weeks of some discussions, we kind of pinpointed Vegas, and we were able to go put it all together. So got some cool partners with this deal. Super excited to have HMY Yacht Sales back for this year, our third straight year as a partner. So really, really excited to have them on for our third year. It's going to be a fun year doing some stuff between the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. And then big thank you to Professional AG Services, Brute Magnetics, who's a new partner of ours. So excited to welcome them to the sport and to the team, as well as Rock Hill Ace Hardware and all of our partners, family members, everybody at MBM Motorsports for the opportunity. And looking forward to seeing what we can do at Vegas, and hopefully continue to build throughout 2023.
So you kind of talked and you kind of touched on a little bit. Well, I'll ask that later. So what are your expectations going into this race next week?
Yeah, obviously, just get more comfortable with the car. Never been to Vegas, so that'll be an interesting one to get a hold of. So I think realistically, my ultimate expectation is continue to go out, learn throughout the weekend, finish in the top 30. I think that's a very, very reasonable goal to have for being my first start. Kind of similar to how I went into it at my first truck start at Gateway with Rayon Brothers Racing. Um, was just to keep the truck in one piece, and continue to learn and race with everybody that I need to be racing with, and come away with that top 30. And we were able to do that. So I think heading into Vegas, it's realistically no different. Bring the car home in one piece, and come away with a respectful finish is, I think, a pretty achievable goal. And that's what I set out to do.
Okay, so let's talk about your plans for this year. What are your plans specifically? I know you mentioned that obviously going to be in Xfinity, some races there, and plus you're also going to be possibly running some truck races as well.
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, going to try to do a couple Xfinity races here, a couple truck races there. Um, yeah, so it's not impossible to see me back in the truck. Um, I think just truck experience as a whole would be beneficial. I'm still very new to this. I only have 4 starts underneath my belt. Um, so I think seat time is key in cars that I'm a little bit more familiar with to help me develop and get a better understanding for the cars, the tracks, and the competition. So I think a couple truck races was in order and was something that we were interested in. And then I think entering the Xfinity Series and kind of opening up opportunities in that avenue was the right move to make. Didn't expect to make it as quickly as where we are now with Vegas, but happy to have that opportunity, and happy to open up those doors to try to present more opportunities to go do some Xfinity racing, and kind of have something else to offer. So, but to answer your question, I think I'm still trying to figure everything out, but definitely going to be in a truck and Xfinity car a couple times this year for sure.
I know trying to figure out some different things in there. Just what are some of the races that you want to do this year?
Yeah, so Vegas was one of them, and obviously that's coming together. So I'm excited about that. Um, we have a couple races pinpointed that we have based on partnerships and sponsorships that we've been able to put together over this off season. So Atlanta is definitely one that I'm pinpointing. Kansas is another one based off of partnerships and also having experience there. So it'll be nice to kind of go back to some familiar territory, knowing what we can do and having some seat time there. Going back to Homestead as well. Again, same reasons for Kansas. Definitely want to go to Homestead again. Um, I think I'd love to go do Martinsville. That's just kind of a bucket list one that I have on my radar. Uh, just those are just a couple to name off the top of my head, but still a long season to go, and I think we can still be flexible with what we what yeah, excuse me, what we run and where we run throughout the year. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll hopefully get those races scheduled and announced before you know it.
All right. Well, Mason, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck at Vegas next week, bud.
Awesome, thank you, Casey. Always a pleasure.